This video is a shout out to my boy Oliver for getting me back on track, man. I need to lock in with the sports content, but forgive me, y'all. Like I said, school, been locked in on some other stuff, and it's about to get hectic with school coming up too, because we got finals and stuff this week. But thank y'all for joining me. It's your boy Deej. We back at it with another video, and today we're going to be talking about some NBA news. Definitely want to get back into that. So obviously, as y'all know, the NBA playoffs, well, pretty much the play-in tournament is underway. So we are in playoff mode pretty much now for the NBA. What a great, some great games for sure today. Obviously, the Warriors and the Clippers, they faced off in a very important game. Obviously, if the Clippers won, they get the 5th seed, and the Timberwolves get the 16th, which then puts the Warriors, if they lose, down to the 7th seed. And then if the Warriors win, because they have the tiebreaker, they get the 6th seed. I think I can't remember how the order was, but the Timberwolves obviously would be in the play-in tournament, and I think the Clippers would be a much lower seed. But obviously the Clippers, they came through today. Great game for James Harden. All the superstars pretty much showed up. James Harden had 39, Kawhi had 33, Jimmy Butler had 30 plus, Steph had 36 and 6. Draymond had a solid game. Pajewski had a solid game as well. Those two players, however, they kind of cost them a bit. The Warriors, though, with missed free throws, and then Draymond blew a layup which would have tied the game. So, man, the Warriors defensively too, their strategy at the end was not great. They were double teaming Kawhi, which then Kawhi, obviously being smart and high IQ, was able to find some guys. Chris Dunn also too for the Clippers played very well defensively and offensively. So definitely, again, the West, again, me and my boy Telly Dub, we was talking about it. The West, this is probably one of the best, seasons, if not the best season in the NBA, no doubt. When you just look at it from how competitive the West and how basically a lot of things came down to the wire in the Western Conference, how competitive, and there was such a race, multiple races, like who would finish here, who would finish there. The Nuggets, obviously the Nuggets, they locked in the 4th seed with their win versus the Rockets. The Rockets, obviously, they've been clinched the 2nd seed. The Thunder, they've been, obviously, for months, they've, clinched the number 1 seed. They've been, obviously the best team probably in the NBA so far, no doubt. And, they'll get some rest. They've been resting their starters for the last couple of days. So the Thunder, they're in good shape heading into the playoffs. They're going to play the winner of the 8th, whoever gets the 8th seed. So as we know, so here's the play-in tournament. So the Warriors will now face at 7, they'll face the Grizzlies at 8. I got a playoff bracket on my laptop right here that I'm looking at. I predict that the Warriors will get that 7th seed. They'll beat the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies will then have to play the winner. Let me see here, of the Kings, who are at 9, the Mavericks at 10. They'll have to play the winner of that game, and whoever wins will get that 8th seed. So, and I think the Warriors, they'll get that 7th seed. They'll play the Rockets, and then the Kings at 9, Mavs at 10. I predict that the Mavericks will win. I actually got the Mavericks. I got the Mavericks winning this series. I know it's a bit shocking, but I know I would feel a lot better with, I'd feel a lot better with the Mavericks if they had Kyrie Irving in a potential playoff run, but I think they have enough. I think they've gotten a lot of their key guys back. They've got their bigs back with Gafford, Anthony Davis, and Derek Lively. And they've still got, obviously, Jason Kidd, who's a really good coach, Dante Exum off the bench, Jaden Hardy off the bench. So they've got some solid guys. The Kings, I know they've got a lot of depth. They've got Levine, they've got DeRozan, they've got Valanciunas, Sabonis. But too, they're in a new coach. They've got a new coach. I forgot they fired Mike Brown. So, but I would take them. The Mavericks in that matchup. And then if they get the 8th seed, and they play the Grizzlies, so Mavs versus Grizzlies, I would take the Mavericks. I have lost, to be honest, I've lost faith in the Grizzlies with how they did Taylor Jenkins, booting him out of there like that. I ain't like that. I didn't even like to have the Nuggets. They did Michael Malone, but I think his voice, like how, the top guys in ESPN were putting it, his voice wasn't being heard anymore. The team just kind of lost faith in that locker room in him, so which led to him getting, pushed out the door. I think there'll be a head coach. I'd be shocked if he wasn't in 2025, 2026. So again, for my prediction, I would predict that the Mavericks get that eighth seed. I would take the Thunder, and to be honest, I think they would sweep. I think that's a sweep with the Mavericks. Maybe too, I'm probably sleeping on the Grizzlies a bit too much, but I just think too. I know they got Ja. They got Jaren Jackson Jr. But again, the confidence in that team. They've really hit the wall since the All-Star break. They fired their coach. They've really decreased this defensively. They're not really good defensively. John's a really good player, and still is. But I think the Mavericks, with them still being a bit, even with the Luka trade and everything that's happened, I think with the size they've got, with some of the depth they've got, I think they'll get that 8th seed, but I think they'll lose to the Thunder. And then the Rockets, they would play the Warriors, who would get that 7th seed. I'm taking the Warriors, and specifically because of the experience, but also I know the Rockets are a really good young and up and coming team, but I think they're one piece away. And again, with them being back in the playoffs for the first time in a long time, I think it's gonna hurt them. I know Ime Udoka is a really good coach. Seeing what he did with the Celtics, leading them to the finals, and I think he's gonna have a good plan. Now, defensively, they're gonna pose as a challenge to the Warriors if they were to do this. They're gonna pose a challenge to Andy because they've got Amen Thompson, who's a really good. He should be an All NBA. He's an All NBA defense type of guy. And they've got Tari Eason. They've got plenty of depth to Jabari Smith. They've got Şengün, Jalen Green. They've got a bunch. They've got a really good young core. However, I think none of those guys are a go-to X Factor option. Alperen Şengün to me is their best player, but he's not that go-to guy yet. He's not an X Factor yet. Jalen Green, he can go off at any moment, but he's inconsistent. Dylan Brooks, really good. He's going to bring that the intensity defensively, but Van Fleet, he's going to bring playoff experience to that team, but he won, that championship at Toronto as a role player off the bench. He's a starter, and he's also very inconsistent, too. He's really, I would look potentially for the Rockets. He could be a trade potentially asset. I don't know. I'm not trying to disrespect Freddie Van Fleet, but man, pretty much had a down season. 14 points per game off 37% shooting. Scares me. And then me and my boy was talking about that. I mean, Jimmy Butler. We see what Jimmy Butler has done for the Warriors. He has definitely really brought a fire in this team. So the Warrior, and then you got Steph, who's having a great year. Steph is Steph. And then you got Draymond. What worries me about the Warriors is their lack of size, which could come at to bite them. And two, kind of their late game situations are a bit off sometimes. They don't finish games quite well, but again, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and playoff mode, you can't doubt them at all. So I would take the upset versus the Rockets, despite them being a 2 seed. This is a very interesting series right here. The Nuggets they're gonna play at 4. They'll play the Clippers at 5. It's pretty much there. So this is a very interesting series because the Clippers have been on an absolute tear recently. Since they've gotten Kawhi back, he's been healthy. He has really played very well and put together some really good games. He finished the season averaging 21, 6, and 3. Had a great year. Had a great solid season, especially when his playing time ramped up. He got going. James Harden has really had another great all-star season. A really great year and had a great game to secure this 5th seed to get them into the playoffs. This would be a very interesting series. I can see this going 7 games. If Kawhi Leonard is healthy, guys, look out for the Clippers, man. They are a sleeper. I'm gonna take the Nuggets for the simple fact that James Harden, it's like I put it this way. In the famous words of Lil Tyler, he said, "I got to change my ways." James Harden is going to have to change his ways, his playoff ways, and be much more inconsistent. if the Clippers, in my opinion, are going to have a chance. And can you trust Kawhi Leonard being on the court? It's the talent is undeniable. The player is undeniable. What this man has done in the playoffs is undeniable. But that was damn near a decade ago. It seems like now. Like he's got to be healthy for this team if they're going to make some noise. For me, look, I'm taking the guy who should be the MVP and another guy with that week of rest who's coming straight off that hamstring injury and who, when he's healthy, Jamal Murray, proven playoff performer. I know their coach, they've got their interim coach in there right now. I think he's really breathed a new life into this team shit. Excuse my language, but Nikola Jokic out there coaching games and putting on the board and stuff. So man, I would take the Nuggets in a 7-game. I'm gonna take the Nuggets in 7. And then yeah, I'm gonna take the Warriors and I'm gonna take the Warriors too versus the Rockets, that 2 versus 7 seed. I'm gonna take them in 6. Warriors in 6. Man, I don't mean to be cringy here, but Julius Randle car handle Gucci sandals. Lakers in 5. I got the Lakers seriously in 5 versus the Timberwolves. I think Anthony Edwards is going to show up, but who else? Who else is the question? Look, the Lakers. Look, they've got LeBron, they've got Luka, and Luka. You already know. You saw what Luka did last year versus the Timberwolves, specifically past Rudy Gobert. Man, this dude Luka is a Timberwolf killer. That would be a really fun series if we got the Lakers versus the Clippers too, and LA show out too in the playoffs. That would be a really good, fun matchup for the city of Los Angeles and for the NBA, especially if Kawhi and James Harden are playing well and healthy. But look, the Timberwolves, look, Anthony Edwards, he would really, Anthony, he's going to show up. I don't doubt that at all, but he just doesn't have anybody, in my opinion. Like Julius Randle, same thing. He's inconsistent in the playoffs. He's not that true number 2 option that's going to, play well or well enough to win for you. Good player, but, Mike Conley is old. Jaden Daniels is a really good defender, but he's off and on offense. Naz Reid is also inconsistent. He can have great games, but he can also have some bad shooting nights. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is like, again, last year he gives me nightmares because last postseason this dude wouldn't even hit a shot. So it's like for like the Timberwolves, they need to get Ant some help. So I got the Lakers 5 for this game here. Now let's talk about the East. I know we've been talking about the West a lot, but let's talk about the East. So the Cavaliers, they've also had a really good year. They get the number 1 seed. They would play the winner of the 7th, 8th seed. My Hawks versus the Orlando Magic. I'm sorry, my Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young had a great season. Just finished with a 24-12 season. Great year by him. This would be interesting. This would be an interesting game. So here's how it's gonna go. I think the Magic are gonna beat us. I don't trust us. I think the Magic with Paolo Banchero, they've got their guys. Franz back healthy. I would take the Magic versus us, which then would force us to play the winner versus the Bulls and the Heat. Ooh, that's a very interesting one. The Bulls they've been playing really well recently. I'm going to take the Miami Heat, actually. I'm going to take the Miami Heat. I know they traded Jimmy Butler. I know they traded Jimmy. And, their team has really been up and down and specifically bad this year. But I'm going to take them to upset the Heat, the Bulls. They would have to play the Hawks. I'm taking my Atlanta Hawks to make the playoffs. So we would get the 8th seed. And then I think the Magic keep that 7th seed would play the Celtics. So here's how it would go. I think these are basically 2 sweeps here. I think if we would play, obviously, to get the 8th seed, play the Cavs, I think we would get swept by the Cavs. I don't think we pretty much stand a chance. Maybe we win a game, we sneak out a game, and, make it a 5-game series. That would be nice, but I think that's a sweep there. Same with the Celtics. Orlando, they just don't have the offensive firepower. They've got the defense, and they do have Paolo. Paolo can go off. Paolo had a really good playoff series last year, so he's built for this. Same with Franz. But, again, they don't have that offensive juice. So I think that would be another sweep there. So I got the Celtics in 4 games. This series though would be interesting. So this Pacers at the 4 seed, led by Tyrese Halliburton, and then you have the Bucks with Giannis. Man, I can't lie to you. I know Damian Lillard is out, and a lot of people would take the Pacers. I think Giannis is gearing up for a really good playoff run. I'm taking the Bucks to beat and upset the Pacers, even if Damian Lillard doesn't return for this series, because Giannis Antetokounmpo, my boy Telly Dove, he's been reminding me, and just reminding me how great Giannis is. He's having another MVP caliber season. Like, he just had a game where he had 35, 17, and 20 assists. That is ridiculous. And dude is definitely one of the best power forwards of all time already too. I think Giannis is gearing up for a really great. He's gonna carry this Bucks team through the postseason. Screw Doc Rivers, man. Again, Tyrese Halliburton, the Pacers. I know they've got Halliburton. I know they've got Nimward. They've got Pascal. I'm taking the Bucks. I'm taking Giannis to have a great playoff run and to pull the upset. Give me the Bucks in 6, and also to avenge their loss from last year in the playoffs, because Giannis didn't play. So Giannis too. I think Giannis is gonna, is gearing up for a great playoff run. So I got the Bucks in 6. I think my brother Makai, he'd be very happy about that. My little brother, he's a Bucks fan, Giannis fan. He'd love for me to say that. I think he'd love my prediction/take on that. The Knicks and the Pistons. This is, I think, must-watch TV. This, to me, is must-watch. I think a lot is riding for the Knicks, because they're like the best worst team in the NBA per se. And my boy Telly, the Knicks have been so up and down. Yeah, the record is really good. They have a good record. They finished with 51-31, but they're 0-14, I think it was, or 0-12 versus top ranked teams in their conference, Eastern Conference. Technically, to my boy put it, when they lost to the Lakers, they're 0-13-14. They have not played well versus the top teams. I would favor them. I would take them. I'm gonna take the Knicks in 7 games versus the Pistons, because Big Body Brunson getting that rest, getting that ankle, another week of rest, I think will help. Mitchell Robinson is back on the court. Cat, he's got to show up this playoffs if the Knicks are gonna make a run. Because you saw last year, if he plays well, the Knicks, their ceiling is a bit higher. But that's the thing. I think what's gonna come back to bite the Knicks later on is just their lack of depth. But the Pistons, Cade Cunningham has had a really great year. I love Cade Cunningham in his game. You also got Beef Stew, Isaiah Stewart, and the crew. Jaden Ivey obviously is out with that leg injury, but they've got Malik Beasley, who finished second in threes. My boy Anthony Edwards, shout out to him, #1 in threes this year. Again, I think this would be a must-watch. I would not be shocked if the Pistons pulled off the upset and beat the Knicks, because with how inconsistent the Knicks are. They don't have the depth to match up. But I think experience, Tom Thibodeau, I think it will play I think, again, who do I trust more? I trust Jalen Brunson to lead this team. I do trust that Cat will show up. And I also think you got to look out, too. They got Mikal Bridges. They've got OG. Like, they're and Josh Hart. Josh Hart too. If they can stay healthy, and they can, with the Knicks, with how much they play their players, getting this rest is, I think, you want to talk about a team needing rest. With how much minutes these Knicks have gotten, oh man, I think that would be very beneficial. But I think this would be a close series. I'll take my boys John and my boy Saya. I'll take their Knicks in 7. Maybe they disagree, but man, I wouldn't be shocked if the Pistons won this series. But I'm gonna take experience, and I'm gonna take the Knicks over the Pistons. So overtime too, as the series progress in the playoffs, we'll predict the second round, who will win those games, and those, predict those as well when the brackets get updated, as more games are played. Obviously, when the next series following that, and then who will win, the championship, and then I'll reveal who. I'll reveal my hot take to y'all to end this video. My hot take is that the Lakers are going to, and I told my boy Telly this. My hot take is that the Lakers will win the championship, and LeBron James will win his fifth. Bronny will win a championship, and then LeBron James will retire and hand Luka the keys to the franchise. That's my hot take. I think my hot take is that the Lakers will win. That's my hot take, that they'll win the championship this year. And then LeBron get his fifth ring, cements himself as the greatest player of all time, and rides off to the sunset. Retires after 23 plus years. I'm still deciding who my championship, official championship winner will be, but I'll reveal that later. But just wanted to get back and record that video for y'all. Y'all have a blessed night. Y'all stay blessed. Peace out. Shout out my boy Oliver for influencing this video.